to have you here with us.
I'm very happy to be here at the moment, and like I sent in the message that I guess this presentation will be shared in the PDF because it will be quite fast-paced. Yeah, how does the digital spaces and algorithms shape our life or youth life? Thank you for telling about my backgrounds already, but I like to tell that what I am really, that I'm a social introvert. But like you heard, that I have created several of these big digital communities, and I have been working with the digital youth workers over 10 years. I'm also an author, but at least for some Finnish media saying that I'm official cat video expert in Finland, and I like that title the most. And I have even proof about that in the magazines. The direct translation would be the crazy village idiot cat man in this small village. But I would like to start the presentation with the poop. Its significance may become clear later on. It might illustrate how we experience things differently. And at least when I receive the poop emoji as a message, I don't really understand what is the meaning it is. But let's start from the future. Sometimes the future seems kind of distant. And let's take this really specific year, 2053, for some reason. It is 29 years until 2053. In movies, that is often portrayed this time as a dystopian or this kind of technology surveilled world, like Minority Report or Blade Runner. But if we go back 29 years from this year, we arrive at year 1995, and it doesn't seem so far away. And what was said about the internet during those days? It was said the internet is blah. Why cyberspace isn't and will never be a nirvana. In this Newsweek article is mentioned also that they can't help thinking that kids would use these holographic computers ever. Or it says also this video on demand is just a dream. Yeah, no one used the Netflix nowadays. Well, it's hard to predict. But what is the big word of today? So big that it doesn't even fit to the screen at the moment is the digitalization. So what has digitalization brought up for us? What is the most significant impact? I would say, of course, cat videos. No. We truly have changed the ways that we are using the computers. If you give a toddler or nowadays a normal paper magazine, it tries to touch it and see is it a tablet? And even the cats are using the mobile phones nowadays. It can quite often feel that everything was different before, because now we take our selfies with the mobile phone all of the time. But no, the first selfie has said taken by Robert Cornelius already 1839. Yes, and now we share our daily dose of cat videos on screen and watch those. But yes, already Thomas Edison made one of the first cat videos in 1894. So things change. Technology is evolving fast-paced, but like when Gutenberg invented the printing, then the text allowed ideas to be shared widely. Even those days, it was seen that now the common people get the knowledge and it's a bad thing. Or then came the radio in the early 90s. Then it was thinking that the rock and roll is bad for the young people. Or when the TV came, the children was watching the TV so closely that it was said that they go blind. Now it's the mobile phone. And of course, it has made a big difference. But throughout history, every era's media and communication advanced, like text, image, voice, moving image, and now the mobile phones, inclusion, have faced the prejudices and different opinions. And there's especially three main responses to new technology. It's excitement. We are really excited, like AI is now coming. Whoa. Overstatement also that like AI is taking all of our works at the moment, and also the concern. And when it comes to the young people, it seems that society tends to emphasize the concern, questioning how these changes might affect them. And this reflects a recurring pattern in how adults view the relationship between youth and technology. But the truth is, like, the bias toward new technologies often reflect the perspectives of my own generation, your own generations, or own generation in that way. Each generation tends to project its own values and concerns on these emerging tools like AI or social media or other digital spaces. It's really essential to recognize that these biases are not necessarily universal. Like I have seen the titles that new technology is turning young people into zombies. Yeah, you can see it can do the different things. So how can youth work rise above these generational biases? The key is to focus on supporting young people's aspirations and dreams. Let's take a look at tech evolution through this 2005 born. Somebody might say that generation Z. When them was just born, the first ever YouTube video was published 2005, and it looked like this, the founder in the zoo. Each of these milestones represent a major shift in how young people interact with the technology and each other. So you can imagine growing up with this innovation at each stage of your life. And this is what the world generation Z has been experienced. And now when this 2005 born is now 17, we talk about a lot of AI and ChatGPT, but we can realize how fast things are moving on. Or do you remember what was on your childhood timeline? I had this kind of device. I even remember the phone number. It was 51211. But what was our timelines in the beginning of this century? Yeah, our collective timeline started with this twist, like hoarding of toilet paper during the pandemic. But now we can see the influencers in the social media. We can see the influencers that are not anymore humans. They are made by AI. But we can see also this kind of videos and images about the war. Fortunately, we can see also this kind of images about Eurovision. And who knows what will be in our digital timeline next year. Maybe we can see this kind of thing. Yeah. Anyway, we use more digital devices than ever. And one question that I've seen often is also, are especially young people device dependent? We see them often absorbed in these screens, leading us believe that they are disconnected from the world around them. But we could ask also, are we any different? This is some Berlin image in the 60s, I guess. So if we look back in history, every generation had its own version of this gene. It's about social relationships and social connections. So like past generations, today's youth are dependent on social connections. The difference is now that these connections are often facilitated by these digital devices. Yes, the devices are constantly present, and they are changing the ways people, especially young people, make friendships, understand this world, and even how they view themselves. This shift presents the opportunities and challenges, especially for youth work. Youth workers' role, I see that the role of those includes nowadays understanding the influence of digital spaces and algorithms on young lives. We need to think how these tools shape the identity or create context, and how these social connections, audience effect on youth's life. In the beginning, the internet was created as a space of free expressions, a place where anybody can share about themselves, even sharing the poop emojis and connect with others. But we have to also ask what kind of promise has it really fully delivered this promise? Yes and no. What is good to understand nowadays that today we are the part of this digital market economy driven by large platforms. I like to say those guys as digital oligarchs. We are both the audience and the product at the same time. Nothing is free in this world. There's three key elements, I think, that define our online experience nowadays. It's bubbles, algorithms, and social contexts. These shape our digital interactions and influence how we connect with others, often limiting exposure to different ideas and peoples. So the algorithms play huge, massive role in shaping especially young people's online lives nowadays. Deciding what content they see, who they connect with, and how they understand also the world. While they can create engaging experiences, these algorithms, they also risk forming this kind of filter bubbles or even the echo chambers, and that limits to having this kind of maybe diverse perspectives. This has to be understood. And many of these world's digital platforms that we are using nowadays are big tech companies, and they prioritize profit over sometimes the well-being of the community. That's why the young people need digital navigators. I see that they are these youth workers who can help young people to understand and navigate this complex online landscape. Or otherwise, the navigator can be this kind of looking guy. And many young people know it and doesn't care even. But not everyone has the same level of comfort or ability to use digital spaces. Some young people really excel online, while others may feel left or face challenges. In youth work, we shouldn't assume that young people understand technology. Some parts yes, and some parts no. This assumption can create inequalities, especially if some young person lack basic digital literacy and knowledge about social media or AI. An example in the AI is already almost every life of us, even so that we don't know that we are using, like on the TikTok. Platforms like TikTok have kind of perfect the art of influencing through algorithms, AI, and this kind of passive engagement. And instead of actively seeking informations, users are served content that aligns with their interest or biases even, shaping their views and highlighting certain behaviors without their choice. And what is interesting that for some young people, TikTok has become the primary source of news. And what is maybe more interesting that even toddlers are engaging with platforms like TikTok. In the Britain, it's like said that 16% of toddlers are using TikTok. The trustworthy news is challenged on platform like TikTok, with 27% of users in Reuters digital news report are saying that they struggle to distinguish reliable informations. Youth workers, it's critical to address this and guide young people by developing the media literacy and critical thinking, because we need critical thinking nowadays, because we have this kind of experts that know everything and can become president. This person knows anything about campaign finance, economy. We live strange times. However, digital has great aspects. Today, digital participation is essential for young people's well-being and also social inclusion. It's more than just being online. It's about preparing them for the future where digital skills are foundations to adulthood. In one Finnish study showed that social media communities are almost impactful as schools in creating a sense of belonging for young people. This highlights the importance of understanding and supporting online spaces as part of their social development. Digital platforms are where young people are creating meaning and in their lives, connecting, learning, and sharing. These spaces influence how they see themselves and world around them. It can be a place where they play games and meet people. It doesn't matter. And what I want to highlight is like, for youth, there's no distinct line between real life and digital life. They see it as one interconnect reality. This insight should shape how we approach also the youth work, making sure that we bridge both online and offline experience together. And the big shift, especially when the AI is now on table, youth are acquiring skills and knowledge more and more creative ways through platforms like YouTube, TikTok, or ChatGPT. Youth workers can guide and support them in navigating these digital environments responsibly and helping them to making most out of these learning places and opportunities. But Bill Gates once said that content is king, and it's always seen also the internet. When you see the content on online, it is the king. But I would say context is everything into youth work. Just like content is king, we say context is the queen, because truly understanding the environment and unique situations young people are at the moment helps us connect and support them more effectively. Knowing the context means we are better equipped to make meaningful impact. In some context, somebody can see a Donald Duck here, or someone will see a Donald Trump. Or in the context, someone can see here the Christmas Eve and the Virgin Mary and the birth of Jesus. Or someone can see dinosaurs fighting watermelon. But what context means is the meaningful to me. It's meaning to our experience. For youth, feeling understood in their unique context, like in the music, taste, hobbies, or communities, can greatly impact how they sense of belonging and self-worth. Take, for instance, the world of metal music. For some outsiders, it's just a noise or rebellion, or even worshiping the devil. But for fans, it's a supportive community that provides identity and shared values. But you have to understand this context. As outsider, you can see it might be this kind of noise or devil worshipping. And what this has been indicated that research showed that long-term metal fans report higher happiness and are better adjusted to the adulthood because they feel to belong to a wider community. That is the feeling that makes them feel better. So in digital world, understanding the context enables also the youth workers to offer meaningful support. So, like to understanding the context when to send a poop emoji or not. Today, the young people show different parts of themselves on different platforms. Each platform offers a unique way to express identity. How do you present yourself on Instagram might look different who you are on the YouTube or on the TikTok. On YouTube, you might be the heavy metal fan playing the guitar. On the WhatsApp, you are talking with the family, and on the TikTok, you are something else. And part of our identity is defined by who we follow on social networks and the image that we present in our own profiles. So selfie is more than just a selfie. And the shaping the identity now involves includes also the digital interactions, like reacting to photos and giving the comments and sharing the post. These small actions build an image who we are, sometimes even shaping how we view ourselves. Sometimes these reactions might be the stupid things doing, like taking challenges. That's kind of some part of the life. But social media behaviors can influence personal identity. When a post gets likes and shares, it can validate the choices we make, influencing what we share next and even affecting our real world confidence and self-perspective. It can be a good thing, but sometimes it can be a bad thing. But we have to understand that how real these digital environments are for young people and also the older people. For some, the online following becomes a measure of self-worth. Here is the one influencer that feels nothing without their following. I feel nothing without my following. It's a reflection how digital identities can be the most important thing to someone. We should never underestimate that. Or I talked with one girl that was bullied, and even the police asked, because he reported about the bullying, that why don't you leave the social media? Get off them. And she said that while some may wonder why she won't stop using social media, the reality is that it provided her connection and support. She was living in the small city. She didn't have friends in the physical world. All she friends was online. So social media was the place that was good for her. Even though she was bullied, she said, I'm not leaving this because it's my world. So sometimes when facing challenges or feeling different can be daunting, but with the peer support online, you can find help. And the greatest experience you can get from there is that you're not alone. There's others who has been in the same situations or understand how you feel. The internet is great in that way that it lets young people find and others to find like-minded communities where they can express themselves without even needing to reveal their name. I think the identity is in that kind of form or name. It's a safe place in some cases. Like sometimes our interest might be unusual to others, but online communities can offer this kind of understanding that might be hard to find in the physical world. For instance, someone passionate about My Little Ponies TV show can find validation and friendship online. This community is called bronies, and most of them is in young men. And when you talk about brownies, My Little Ponies, and young men, you might think what somebody think about those, like parents. Well, they have this online community where they talk about, and one example is that one brownie said that my dad, on the other hand, was quite shocked when he realized my interest in ponies. He explained to me that ponies are toys for little girls and that I shouldn't be interested in things like that. His community is helping him to understand better his parents. Or online platforms are also empowering young people to unite over shared causes, like this Fridays for Future movement, where students around the world are connecting to make real impact. Peer support isn't just personal, it's also about building these kind of collective actions. And for some young people, social media is sometimes the only way also to reach the youth worker. The key is being the safe, reliable adult who's there to listen. These platforms can offer young people a space to discuss even with their most difficult issues openly. And sometimes just simple hi can open these doors to connections and supports. And for some, the online community might be the only place where they truly feel accepted. These digital spaces can provide the support and validation that are missing elsewhere. Sometimes it doesn't even mind if the community is not so good for you, but it might be the only place where you can be understood. And I met this one graffiti boy, and he explained why he joined the graffiti gang. The reason why he got the support there that he couldn't get from his parents or from the school. It was a place where he got words of love. And he mentioned also that community is also kind of drug. Whether it's a group, tribe, or even gang, we all have this kind of deep need to belong somewhere, to be part of something bigger. As Mikko Hyppönen, this one security company, points out, digital platforms, digital problems are often social problems at their core. The challenge we see online often reflect in the deeper social issues. So that's why it's essential that we teach young people not just use this technology, but to understand it. What's behind of those? We must make the invisible this kind of visible. For example, in the age of AI, this is the muffin or Chihuahua test for AI. Several times AI cannot make the difference between this muffin and Chihuahua for some reasons. And in University of Oulu was research with the kids and how they see the AI. And they understood that AI struggles to see difference between a dog and muffin. So it opened their eyes to much deeper things. If AI can't reliably see difference between some simple as dog and muffin, how can they be trusted in to make some complex decisions, like seeing human from a tree in the split-second situation involving a self-driving car? The young people can make this kind of connections that from the muffin and dogs to the situation where AI-driven car is making decisions. This is one example how to deal with young people. So in digital spaces, the role of the youth work is evolving. Youth workers aren't just lecturers, they are facilitators, they are co-learners and champions of the critical thinking. Whether it's encourage young people to question information they encounter online or helping them understand the basic of data, our role is foster the environment where they feel empowered to explore and create what they want irresponsibly. Each of these roles, facilitator, guide, critical thinker, data advocate, or creative encourager, helps youth work to support young people in navigating and making the most of digital spaces. And it's not about what kind of tool we have nowadays. We talk about ChatGPT or we talk about other TikTok. And when it comes to AI, it's crucial that we focus on foundational knowledge, the knowledge that every youth worker or educator has, teaching young people about core concepts. Now it might be a little bit different, like data, algorithms, or bias, but technology will continue to evolve and specific tools will become outdated. But understanding this core principle will equip young people with the skills that are transferable and enduring. The world is changing, but I think that the stories, social contacts, and empathy will stay. Brené Brown said wisely, if we could share our story with somebody who responds with empathy, understanding, I said, even in the digital world or whatever, same couldn't survive. So I say that with stories and empathy, you can change the world. You have to say that all is well, you're not alone, I'm here. And I recommend watch cat videos because there are studies even that watching them reduce negative feelings such as anxiety. Thank you. I can hear you, Sabrina. Can others hear? No. I have a dog behind of here, making the noises. I don't know. Can you hear? But I don't have a cat. But we cannot hear the Sabrina at the moment. And several of these images I was created also with the AI, so they are using those over there, and it's what is quite new nowadays that you can use even this text is like digital transformation putting over there.
So I think I'm back.
Yes, I'm now here.
Yes. I think this is an interesting thing I had last time too. So probably sometimes it gets disconnected with my audio, but there I'm back. Jarno, thanks a lot. I think you brought up so many points which are relevant for us to think about because there is a development in the world of young people and in ours too. I think that's it, that cannot be stopped. And the question is just how, no? And I don't want to talk too much. I would like to give the word actually to our audience because we have a few minutes left. I would like to postpone a little bit the sessions in order to be able to, and it was actually me who was not in time, not you, Jarno. So in order to be able to give some time for questions. So I also have a few in my mind, but I would be very happy to give the floor to our audience. So if you have a question, just let us know. Maybe I go back to one. In the meantime, the others think about which Aurélien, who is also one of our participants here, and they do use exchanges and seminars in the context with French, but also the north of Africa. I think Tunisia and these countries are involved. And what he points out is that they just did a week together in one place, exchanging, discussing life, taking decisions as a group. And it seems that the people taking part are that the whole experience was very intense and very tiring. So what is this observation about that it seems that young people are faster tired of these kind of events than 5 or 10 years ago? I found it interesting, this observation. I don't know if you also observed something like that, Jarno, or anybody else here.
Yeah, I think it is like there's even studies about the brain studies, how it will affect an VR kind of situation that we really don't know how it will affect to our evolution in the future. But yes, because the internet and media are creating this fast pace, and even the workplaces are creating this fast paces. We noticed that it has said that you have to, in 7 seconds, you have to make the point in the online, like in the TikTok. So that shows that how fast paced is the thing. And I don't know, in some cases, maybe it's a good thing that we are able to kind of compress what we are saying and not make too complex things. But in these cases, it's important, I think, that you have this ability to tell the story in that way that everybody understands, and in kind of making it the short ways. But yes, I have noticed also that it's sometimes too hard that get the attention.
I mean, for me, it's also one thing, maybe we as youth workers later in our sessions could take that question with us. Is it then that people who are on spot, no? And I do sometimes the same. I liked your picture of the 60s when people were looking in their newspapers. and asking ourselves how much do we use actually media now and our devices. And if I'm on spot somewhere in a conference or whatever meeting, and then I'm still online too, no, that is a double thing. So I socialize in both, and I still differ of the two worlds. Young people don't, but that's something to check now, if this is also tiring to have not being home and chatting and all that, being online, but also being present somewhere on spot plus socializing online. No, that it's probably a bit of double socializing.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for you just switching on your mic, no problem, and start talking. Take your chance. Falco, and then Ulrike, I see.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I didn't raise my hand. I just had my microphone turned on.
Yeah, it's fine. It's you, Falco. You can just ask your question. Don't worry.
I don't have a question right now.
Okay. So then I think Ulrike and Agathe.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Jarno, for this. For this pictures, your inspiring thoughts. One thing I want to know from: do you have a first step go-to for youth workers? Because the whole subject is very overwhelming. Do you have this one tip where you say, okay, you can start here?
I think the co-creations or being part of, well, if you take this complex like artificial intelligence nowadays, when a lot of people are talking about those, so I think this kind of co-creation thing is the thing. Like you really are like I mentioned in one slide, you're not a facilitator in that way, the co-learner and the guide or this kind of working over there. So it's like if you have some complex things that you don't understand the technical thing, I have seen that it's most best way if you just gather with the young people and talk about that and saying that I don't understand this. So being this curious, open-minded, and I think it's the first step to take, just being in yourself. And sometimes online we can be really playful, or we can be in the physical world. And I mean that when we talk about, I have to mention this, when we talk about digital youth work, also that is digital youth work when you are in the physical place and talk about digital activities. And that's kind of thing also, like in that way. But this kind of co-learner guide, talk with the young people, this kind of boring answer, but like make them as a teachers.
And it fits also with what you said about the context, no? So to know about more why and what they do. Agathe, you also have a question.
Yeah, I see thank you for your presentation. I see a big challenge for us every time is that actually it's their free space, but at the same time we kind of want to have an eyes on it, like to help them to understand it, but at the same time it's their free space. And it's every time the challenge I have when I do a project digital or actually with groups all the time is you want to help them, but at the same time this position not to control their free space and how to deal with it. So for me it's one of the biggest challenge I have all the time, and because I don't want to control their free space, but at the same time want to help them to use this free space in a nice way. So I don't know.
Yeah, it comes also like the understanding back again the context in that way, that if they are chatting with other youngs during the whatever time, if you go over there and bother them, it seems really negative. But then like being the safe adult during the when some bad happens in that days, like being just there is over there. But it comes to the context. You have to understand, like if some young people if you have a physical youth club like over there, if somebody's sitting just in the corner and with a mobile phone, and first step is to understand why he's or she is doing that, and not taking the discussion with the other young people, and starts from there. So it's like not making these kinds of assumptions that he doesn't or she doesn't like the others, or in that way to understand the context. But yeah, I understand it's difficult to see, but from that I see the perspective of youth workers. The superpower of youth workers is that they understand the mind of youth, and digital is just one layer in there. You have the tools to work with the young people, and now we have to match it with the digital tools.
Thank you, Jarno. We have one more, Aurélien.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I had a very interesting discussion with a colleague doing also international youth work, because she was saying there is a possibility right now to be connected to so many people, and she has the feeling through Reddit and other communities she's connected to like thousands of people. And you talked about it, yeah, communities that support. And at the same time, there is a trend of loneliness, the big feeling of loneliness, not only in youth, but like in society right now. And there's a study in Germany, for example, talking about this. And this is at the same time, and I have the feeling like this is not either or, but it's at the same time. And sometimes I feel our work as youth workers is to make connections between these two realities that we have at the same time. Yeah, I just wanted to share this and maybe have a reaction from you on this.
Yeah, I just a couple of weeks talked with one of these loneliness researchers in Finland, and she's mentioning just like that how to reduce loneliness. One of the most effective ways is to build this community or make it stronger. But normally, like this discussion fixing the one person loneliness doesn't work. It means that all we have to be part of that, fixing the communities that they are part of there, or being part of there, because it might be a school environment or whatever. And creating these kind of social connections, places where they can make the social connections, are the most of these kind of effective ways to reduce the loneliness. But still, yes, you're like saying that even so that we see more and more people online nowadays, it doesn't mean that we are less lonely. That is true, and that's why we have to make this kind of meaningful places where they can make the real connections in the way they want.
Yes, thank you, Jarno. I'm just checking. I think Aurélien is also saying thank you. If there's any more questions, Falco, now it's you.
Yeah, now I have a question. You mentioned that youth workers can also be facilitators in teaching digital literacy. But I wonder how many feel equipped for that, and if it would make sense, like to see this as a core feature or ability or skill that youth workers should have. I mean, would you recommend taking part in a boot camp? Is it essential in order to teach digital literacy, to really know like programming and like the in-depth technology, or that's too much?
Yeah. Even so, I don't know how to program, but I have been learning, like doing with the help of AI. But like the basic thing is like you don't have to be expert in everything of these, but like basic understanding, like how I think that youth workers should have this basic understanding how social media works, that behind of there's algorithms. Then you like in the Europe we have to understand what is the GDPR, this kind of basic principles, and how do you get it? And no, what I'm doing nowadays quite often. Earlier I was said ask from the Google. Now I'm asked from the ChatGPT. I'm daily basis talking with over there. But in there, you have to be really critical thinking what it will give you in that way. But I have been analyzing like studies and over there and the complex ideas also, that if I have some complex idea that I have no idea what I'm reading at the moment, I ask AI to make it this simplified for me. But yes, I think that in that way, youth workers should understand how the digital works over there. And that's part of the reading the literacy or following the medias, what they are saying in that environment. It difference in the different countries, how do you get the information? You can get to places like this. And that's why they are great to get know. And what I was looking to like next sessions, they look really great and over there, and you can understand really basics. But you don't have to be a superhero of digitals, just the basics. And then ask once again from young people how they use.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot, exactly, for the wise words. Thank you, Janine, for this. I wanted to say for this very hands-on tips, even, how to think about it and in our work. Jarno, I would like to thank you because I don't see anyone else raising hands. I think we would have more questions, but we also want to go in smaller groups to talk about related issues. I guess you stay in the field. We will probably meet again here or there in this community. Thanks a lot, and you're invited to stay, of course, if you want.
Yeah, and if you have any questions, there was my emails over there. You can send me over there, and I guess you will share the presentation also later on. Yes. I will send it to you, so you can use the presentation at least for how you want. Thank you for
perfect. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yes, the presentation, and we see also what we can share from the recording.